On the Israeli-Palestinian issue, that is certainly one of them.
Can I go back to Ukraine? I mean, the other accomplishments notwithstanding, I mean, I understand what you're saying, that you have been able to get the Europeans and everyone to put this pressure on Russia, but has it really changed his behavior in any way? He hasn't, if anything, he continues to, you know, maybe not as boldly as he was early in the year, but certainly there hasn't been any forward movement on the Ukraine situation. And, you know, he's still supporting the separatists and, you know, still has, you know, Russian operatives in the area.
No, you're right. And look, there have been reports of decreased violence in eastern Ukraine over the past several weeks, but you're right. The point I was trying to make is that sometimes these issues arise in the world, and you can't prevent them from happening. All you can do is determine the best response in the United States' national interest. And in this case, if he doesn't change his behavior, we will continue to oppose additional costs. And he has a choice. And if he doesn't, he can continue to tank his economy, he can continue the international isolation, and if he continues down that route, there will be additional costs.
Well, hasn't he made that?
Sanctions could be lifted right away.
Hasn't he made that choice? I mean, you know, he's, you know, continue to sanction him. He's pretty much made that choice. I mean, and you look at something that you just, you know, reverse the policy on Cuba, because 50 years of sanctions on Cuba has not changed the regime of behavior of the Castro regime in any demonstrable way.
Well, I'd make a few points. First, every country is different. And second, the longer sanctions are in place, the more effect they have. And that's what we've seen. I mean, 2 months ago, people were saying, oh, the Russian economy is still fine. It hasn't taken a hit. And then all of a sudden, because of oil prices, their mismanagement, and our sanctions, their economy is in a pretty steep downward spiral. So there's always a diplomatic off-ramp. And we're going to keep imposing costs. And he can either keep accepting those costs and, more importantly, putting those costs on the Russian people, or he can take the diplomatic off-ramp.
But, Marie, you just said sanctions, the effectiveness of sanctions depends on how long they're in place.
And each country is different. I said that right before.
Right. So, all right. So should we expect to see U.S. sanctions on Russia for the next 50 years?
That's not what
followed by an admission that it hasn't been working?
I said that sanctions, look at another case. Look at Iran and sanctions, and how they brought Iran to the negotiating table where we are today.
Right. But you're that's still a work in progress, though.
Absolutely.
Right.
Each country is different.
Can I ask you about your three things, or three of the things you mentioned